What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. Y'all keep up with me. It's a lot of twists and turns. In life, while navigating this crazy world, one of the best things possible an individual can do is study and know themselves. What I mean by that is being in tune with who you really are as a person, what you can deal with, what you are willing to put out, and what makes you tick every day. That will put you at least one step ahead of the game. For example, if you are a good kid, not on no tough type of time, knowing yourself will instantly tell you, I'm not built to sit in no jail cell. Or if you are a woman that likes to party and have fun, knowing yourself will tell you, I know me. I like to keep my options open and I'm not ready to be in no committed relationship. But of course, this journey takes time. And when we are young people, we don't think like that. We just go with the flow. So we have friendships and relationships. Some go good, some run their course, and others go bad. That's just part of life. But sometimes as individuals, we don't want to take accountability or point out our flaws and what we probably did wrong. I'm sure we can all relate. At one point in our lives, we can think back like, man, I messed that friendship or relationship up, being all over the place because I didn't know myself at the time or I was moving weird. While it's a blessing to still be here, learn and grow from our mistakes, unfortunately, some people don't get those chances to find out who they really are and what they really want in life because something or somebody cuts their life short. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it right outside of Chicago to Woodridge, Illinois, to discuss the case of a man who took the life of his girlfriend in the evil way just to go to prison and become a girl himself. Back in 2015, 26-year-old Cesaly Dicki was trying to find her way in life. Beautiful, ambitious, and outgoing, the young lady had a way with people and got along with almost everybody. Cesaly, like most people, had a few hiccups in life, including having her daughter young while still being in high school. But she didn't let that stop her from chasing her dreams. With the help of her family, she worked full-time at a call center and also was attending college, taking childhood education and business classes, with dreams of one day opening her own daycare. Her main focus, though, was raising her daughter, also getting an apartment on her own. But being young and in her prime, Cesaly also liked to date and have fun. Eventually, she would find herself in a committed relationship with a man who we will call Corey for the sake of the story. Things started off good between the two, but Corey was a scammer and got Cesaly caught up with the police. He was cracking cards or doing credit card fraud from her computer, leading to the young lady being charged as well. This put a strain in their relationship, but Corey told her he would pay all fines, which was about $5,000 for her charges to be dropped and off her record. But Cesaly at first decided she would call off the relationship. Now back on her own, a few weeks later, she would get a surprise call from an old friend from high school, London Luckett. London and Cesaly went way back. Their families knew each other, so she was happy to hear from him. He told the young lady he would love to link up and take her out to eat one day. She agreed. London wasn't no saint himself. The reason he wasn't around because in 2009, he caught a hit charge when him and his guys went to do a drive-by on a man, but instead shot his passenger, an 18-year-old teen girl who unfortunately lost her life. The reason London was out early because he agreed to testify on his co-defendants. He also had other charges on his record, including being a registered ex offender, but it seemed he was trying to make a change. Once him and Cesaly linked up, they instantly hit it off, and he told her he had been feeling her and wanted to be there for her and her daughter. So the two became official. Everybody said he treated her good and even stepped into a father role for her child. All was going well with the young lady. She even finally got her own apartment, and London was planning on moving from Chicago and with her in Woodridge. But the two also had problems. They would sometimes argue. See, Cesaly was still in contact with Corey in hopes he kept his word about giving her the money for catching the charge with him. The two would even link up from time to time. Corey and London knew about each other and neither really cared for the other. But London tried to understand that Corey was supposed to be paying for her to get out of trouble. It seemed things would work out for Cesaly. But in mid-October 2015, family and friends stopped hearing from the young lady, and also London. On October 19th, her brother and sister went to her apartment to do a welfare check, but she didn't answer the door. They walked up to a maintenance man and asked him could he open the door for them, and which he did, only to find a horrible scene. Cesaly laying on the floor, suffering from multiple cut wounds and marks around her neck. They called local police, who responded to the scene, but they soon realized it was a little bit too late for the young lady, and unfortunately, she was pronounced gone. Police determined she had been there for days. They also noticed there wasn't no forced entry, meaning she let her attacker in, and the attack seemed personal, as she was choked and also a knife was placed down below in her private place. Her siblings went to the station to talk to police. They both stated she was in a relationship with London, but he would never hurt her. But they also brought up Corey and said he was kind of aggressive, and they felt he had a motive to get Cesaly out the way. Police went to pick up Corey, but when they talked to the young man, he had an airtight alibi. It was also another element to the case. It seemed the young lady had been robbed. Cesaly's car was missing, her cell phone, purse, and credit cards. Corey told police he would never do that, but London, her boyfriend, was possessive and jealous. They should check him out. Days would go by as police put out a bolo for the vehicle and also looked for any activity on Cesaly's accounts. They would get a hit when one day her card was used at a gas station on the north side of Chicago. They got surveillance video from the gas station that showed the man pull up in her car, buy items, and also take cash out the ATM. When they zoomed in, they realized the man in question was London. Police started lurking around the area he was last seen at. They were also still getting hits on new evidence found at the crime scene, including a bleach bottle, as it seemed whoever did it was trying to clean up, and the bleach had a fingerprint on it. A few days later, London was tracked down, spotted in Chicago, driving Cesaly's car. Police tried to pull him over, but he fled and decided to try to go on a high-speed chase. Eventually, he crashed the car and was taken into custody. At first, just charged with stealing the car and Cesaly's credit cards. As he stated, he didn't know what happened to his girlfriend. But when Cesaly's phone records came back, they showed on October 16th, she went to Chicago to pick London up, as she texted and called him that same day. Then the next day, her phone was off. And also the fingerprint on the bleach bottle came back to him as well. When questioned again, London came clean. He stated that weekend in October, him and Cesaly decided to have a romantic evening at her home. Her daughter was gone and they could turn up. She came to Chicago to pick him up. They had a few drinks and he noticed her texting. He soon grabbed her phone, angry at what he saw. She was texting Corey. London asked her, like, bro, you serious? That's when he stated she yelled, give me my phone, before grabbing a knife out the kitchen. He then claimed he fought the young lady off, and then he cut her in self-defense. But police knew better and knew that wasn't the truth, as the young lady had marks around her neck from being choked out, also was cut over 20 times, including the personal wound down below. They felt London zapped out in a jealous rage. With that, he was hit with more charges, a first-degree hit and others. Even though he confessed, he chose to have a trial and face a jury. On the day of court, it wouldn't take the jury long at all to find London guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to life in the Illinois State Prison, where to a lot of people's surprise, he transitioned from being himself to another person, shall we say. Rest in peace to Cesaly. I send my prayers and condolences to her family. What I was stating earlier about knowing ourselves goes both ways in this case. Unfortunately for her, she was young and torn between two men One of them was a provider, the other a father figure to her daughter. She could have just stayed single and dated. No harm, no foul. But not knowing what she wanted, she committed to London while still dealing with Corey. Not victim blaming at all or judging, because that's not a cause for a person to take your life. And I'm sure if she was given more time on this earth, she would have eventually understood how that was a dangerous game that could end terribly, as unfortunately it did. As far as London, he never knew himself, because if he did, he would have never been in that car back in 2009, knowing he wasn't built for prison and would tell on everybody involved. Then come home thinking you could deal with your girl being cool with another man, which obviously he couldn't. He could have just walked away, but he didn't. Then going to prison and becoming something different. But when I thought about it, saw the picture, he had a bad jacket. He told he was a registered offender and took a woman's life. Some of the worst things you can be in prison. He probably was given a choice. Be a girl for protection or lose your life. Now I guess he knows himself. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this situation. Leave it in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, super crazy story. Rest in peace to Cesaly. I send my prayers to our family. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's another episode of Hood Tales. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Y'all keep up with me. Make sure y'all stay tuned. There's a lot of twists and turns in this case. With that being said, let's get right into it. When relationships run their course and people decide to go their separate ways, things could play out good or bad. For some, they might have been in a toxic situation, cheating on each other, playing games to the point it had to end before somebody gets hurt. Another scenario could be a couple that realizes they are just on two different type of times. It's no hard feelings. Their lives might just be going in two different directions. So they break up, and that's just that, with no love lost, but no contact. They wish each other the best and move on with their lives. But then you have couples that's on and off, depending on the day. They might be together one day, then the next time you see them, they are running around saying they are single. It's up and down, but no matter what, they let it be known, that's my homie and we will always be friends. In a perfect world, that sounds real good. Being friends with somebody you was once intimate with. Checking on each other, being there for each other if you need anything, maybe even being cool with their new partner. If they are open and can respect their friendship. But in my opinion, everybody can't do that. It takes a different level of being grown to be friends with somebody you once was intimate with and keeping things strictly platonic, especially if the relationship didn't end on bad terms. It's leaving too much room to double back, or for one to act like they are happy the other one has moved on, but inside they are jealous and really not over them. And depending on the circumstances, being friends with an ex could be dangerous. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Salt Lake City, Utah to discuss the case of a relationship turned friendship that took a turn for the worse. Back in 2022, 27-year-old Demetrius Allen was on top of the world. Originally from Houston, Texas, the young man was in a total different lane than his peers, having a career that wasn't normal or boring. See, Demetrius was a real cowboy, a professional bull rider who was very good at what he did. Given the nickname Ouncy Mitchell, Ouncy because he was small when he was young with a lot of heart. The young man with that same heart and no fear had worked his way up the ranks, being in the top 40 of bull riders in the country. Outside of work, Demetrius was also a father to a 3-year-old baby girl who looked up to him. The true Texas boy who loved the outdoors, had a good career with that southern swag and charm, also had no problems on the dating scene. Being young, in his prime, and always traveling, he would brush shoulders with a lot of beautiful women. And somewhere in the mix, he would meet 22-year-old LaShawn Bagley, also a Texas native, but had recently relocated to Utah. It was stated the two met and hit it off. He even tried the relationship thing for a minute, but with Demetrius' line of work, it was hard to really settle down and be in one place. So after being on and off, they both decided to just be friends, but they would also stay in contact with each other. In 2022, it was a tough year for LaShawn. She had recently lost her father back in Texas, and now she was miles away from her family, living in Salt Lake City. But the young lady was about to get a lift in her spirits. In September of that year, Ouncy had an upcoming bull riding event at the Utah State Fair. So he decided he would call his ex-girlfriend and now friend LaShawn and tell her he was coming into town. They both decided he should just stay with her at her place. The day he came into town, it was all love. The young lady, who was also beautiful, made sure to look good for Ouncy, as her and her homegirl would be representing him at the state fair. He performed and did great as usual. So after, the trio decided to hit a local bar to celebrate. After having a few drinks, LaShawn peeped Demetrius and her homegirl, who we will call Ashley, getting a little bit too friendly with each other for her liking. She felt like it was flirting, and that was disrespectful, being that the two used to be in a relationship. She grabbed her belongings and stormed off. She got in her car and left both Demetrius and Ashley at the bar. Being that she was there to ride, he called and texted the young lady, letting her know he needed to come by her house to pick up his rodeo equipment that was worth over $10,000 for his next event. Later that night, Demetrius and Ashley caught a lift to LaShawn's apartment. He texted her again, stating he was on his way and he just needed to pick up his items, but she never responded. As they pulled up, he knocked on the door. He even yelled, saying, "I need my things." Still no response though. Ashley attempted to use a credit card to pick the lock, but it didn't work. That's when Demetrius stated, "I'm from Houston. I can get in that house." He grabbed the rock before then beating on the door. Seconds later, multiple shots went off, and local police received 2 different calls. LaShawn was already on the phone with police, stating someone was beating on her door, and she claimed she didn't know who it was. She told the operator, "I got my gun. I'm shooting now." After the shots, Ashley also called. She stated she shot him. She shot him. Police responded to the complex to find Demetrius suffering from a gunshot wound. He was rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. LaShawn was taken into custody and questioned. After it was determined her gun was registered and questions about the shooting being justified, she was at first released pending an investigation. She was to have no contact with the victim's family or leave the state, but LaShawn quickly packed her things and went back to Texas to be with her family. Soon after, she was arrested and charged with the murder of Ouncy. His family spoke out about what kind of man he was, his passion for his career, and his dedication to being a father. They felt their life had been shattered and it would never be the same. As LaShawn's court dates started coming around, prosecutors painted the situation as a jealous ex-girlfriend who became angry after Demetrius flirted with Ashley. Ashley testified and told the courts LaShawn stormed off and left them at the bar. She claimed she had to know they was coming by the house because Demetrius texted her multiple times. They also pointed to the fact LaShawn had a strong smell of alcohol on her that night as she was drinking and already mad about losing her father, causing the young lady to snap. But this is where things get tricky. The courts couldn't determine whether or not LaShawn saw or even read the text messages that was sent to her. And it was in fact a possibility she felt an intruder was trying to get into her home. Her gun was registered, and in the state of Utah, you have the right to strike first if you feel like you are in danger. You don't even have to wait for somebody to break into the home. With that, 2 years after the incident, all charges against LaShawn were dropped, and she walked away a free woman. There were mixed feelings about the verdict. Some felt LaShawn was defending herself, Others felt it was premeditated. They stated she played like she didn't know Ouncy was coming by. That way, she could just shoot through the door and get away with it. Some felt it was simple as being a jealous ex who was in her feelings that night. His family spoke out again after the verdict. They wanted it to be known justice one day will be served, as they felt the young lady's actions were intentional and the system failed Demetrius. But the case was dismissed with prejudice, meaning in order to be reopened, they would have to go through the state, get approval from the courts, and it be determined an error was made. But as of now, the verdict remains. Rest in peace to Demetrius. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. It's a tough situation, and people have mixed opinions about it. But I want to leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on the situation. Do you feel LaShawn was justified in her actions? And have you yourself tried to remain friends with an ex after the relationship? If so, how did it play out? Let me know in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace, that young man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam.
Have a child, raise your child, feed your child, care for your child, and then suddenly, instantly, they're gone.
Defendant is a young, attractive woman.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to Atlanta, Georgia, to discuss the tragic story of Kyla Lett and Kryjon Rainey. But before we get into this video, a big thank you to our supporters. I appreciate you all so much. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, you can find the information on the screen. And to support us for absolutely no cost, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and join the Tony 2 times family. Tap that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, this video is sponsored by me, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out and support me. I'll leave the link to it in the description box. And be sure to share this video with everyone you know. Stay tuned until the end to hear all the details. All right, let's get into it. In early October 2022, a short-lived relationship between two young people spiraled into chaos and ended in tragedy. This is the story of Kyla Lett and Kryjon Rainey, of ambition, miscommunication, and one irreversible decision. Kyla, 24, older, confident, and chasing a rap career. Kryjon, 2 years younger, emotionally invested and looking for love. From the start, their dynamic was imbalanced. In early October 2022, 2 weeks after meeting each other, Kyla and Kryjon made arrangements to go to Atlanta, Georgia together from their hometown in Ohio. Kryjon's mother worked and lived in Atlanta's West End neighborhood, so Kryjon himself was familiar with the city. Kyla's identical twin sister, Kayla, dropped Kyla off at the Greyhound bus station in Ohio, where she met up with Kryjon. On the bus ride to Atlanta, Kyla was drinking, ready to party, inviting Kryjon to the back to smoke. But he declined. Her actions shocked him, but she was unfazed. After they arrived in Atlanta, Kyla ventured out on her own. Kyla felt like she wasn't getting the Atlanta vibe she was looking for. The budding couple was staying in a place she didn't like. Kryjon's mom was there and his family would pull up, making her feel like there was not enough space. Kyla decided to leave on October 6th and was gone the entire day. into the early morning hours of October 7th. To make matters worse, she left with a complete stranger. She just left Kryjon and went on her way. She ended up getting a room at the Ramada Inn in College Park, a 12-minute train ride from the West End. In that area, she felt like she found the vibe she was looking for. Kryjon was devastated. He texted Kyla, "You left me." She responded, "You got your mom." When they spoke again, Kryjon expressed hurt and confusion. Kryjon realized that Kyla was intoxicated and called her out. He told her, "You lit. All I wanted was to be with you." Her response was cold and dismissive. Kyla found Kryjon annoying, goofy even. She felt like he talked too much. Kryjon tried to reach Kyla mentally, emotionally. He expressed how he felt about the issues in their relationship. He told Kyla she lacked communication skills and they needed to work on communicating better with each other. He genuinely poured his heart out to Kyla. "You're good for my soul," he texted. She replied, "No, I'm not." They were only 2 weeks in, but he saw something real. She did not. Things began to escalate. At some point, when they met back up, Kryjon snatched her AirPods because Kyla was ignoring him. Before Kyla could return back to her hotel, Kryjon wanted to get the best of her, and he got there before she did. In an effort to probably get Kyla's attention, he took her hoodie, flat iron, drugs, and shoes. It wasn't just petty, it was personal. After taking some of Kyla's belongings, Kryjon called his mother for a ride back to the West End. His mother told him she wasn't his taxi and to find his own ride back. He said okay, but asked if she could pick him up from the laundromat where he was going to wash his clothes. She agreed. He also told his mother about what he had did and was a little braggadocious about taking Kyla's belongings, telling his mother Kyla had locked him out of the hotel room, so that was his way of getting back at her. When Kyla got back to her hotel and found some of her belongings missing, she was livid. Most of the trip she had ignored Kryjon's calls, but now she was determined to find out where her stuff was. Kryjon eventually told Kyla that he took them. After finding out where Kryjon was, she stopped answering his calls. They argued via text message the afternoon of October 8, 2022. The text messages included threats of violence. Kyla had pulled a weapon on Kryjon before. He messaged her, "You're not going to keep doing this every time we have issues." But this time, he said was different. He told her, "The police will be here waiting if you come back." Her response, "I don't care, that nigga." Kryjon called 911 multiple times. He reported a woman pointing a firearm in his face. But even then, he didn't say her name. He was still trying to protect her. On October 8, 2022, just after 8 p.m., Kryjon is at the laundromat washing his clothes, waiting on his ride, holding his backpack. Then, Kyla shows up around 8:15. She walks in as he walks out. She cocks the firearm. He reaches for it. There's a struggle. She lowers it. He grabs her hoodie. Then, one shot to the forehead. Video surveillance captured everything. Kryjon collapsed onto the cold concrete. Kyla steps over him, looks back, and runs away from the scene. After she fled, Kyla took the train back to College Park. She got back to the hotel around 9 p.m., packed her bags, and left her room. She checked out of the hotel within 30 minutes. The entire time after the incident, she was in contact with her twin sister, telling her what had just happened. After checking out, Kyla called a Lyft and booked a ride to Atlanta's Greyhound station and left the state. Kryzhan's mother reached out to Kyla after she hadn't heard back from her son. Text messages show Kyla lied to his mother. She said she hadn't seen him, told his mother about him taking her belongings, said he could keep the stuff, said she was leaving. Kyla tried to say she left Atlanta on October 6th, but records showed she had not. Kryzhan succumbed to his injuries and passed away on October 10th, 2022. After a months-long investigation, Kyla was arrested and charged with slaying Kryzhan Rainey.
Kyla, I have a twin sister named Kyla. That's why I keep correcting you.
In March 2023, Kyla Lett was indicted on 4 counts, including 2 hit charges, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. Kyla went to trial in March 2025. There was a lot of both physical and circumstantial evidence, including phone records and lots of video surveillance that created a timeline of before, after, and during the crime. Kyla's twin sister Kyla also testified on behalf of the prosecution in an effort to stop the defense from using the probability that it was Kyla's twin sister Kyla who committed the crime and not her. After the jury deliberated, they found Kyla Lett guilty. The judge sentenced her to the maximum penalty of life without the possibility of parole, plus 5 years. Justice prevailed, but Kryzhan is gone. A life lost, a mother left without her son. May Kryzhan Rainey continue to rest in peace. My deepest condolences to his family. I send them my well wishes. Kryzhan was truly loved and adored by his family. Kryzhan didn't deserve to lose his life in cold blood. Kyla Lett now has to spend the rest of her life in prison over a decision seated in rage and anger. Was Kryzhan in the wrong for taking her stuff? Yes, but that was not a license for her to end his life. Kryzhan was blinded by his feelings for Kyla when she clearly didn't feel the same way. This wasn't just a bad breakup. It was a warning about ignoring red flags, about trauma, ego, and how quickly things can turn fatal. If you or someone you know is in a toxic relationship, don't wait. Say something. Get help. Fam, I'm going to leave the rest up to you. What are your thoughts on this tragic story? Let me know in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. For some people, it can be hard to just end a relationship. Whether kids are involved, y'all have too much time invested, shared finances, to the point some people's lives will change if they just up and walk away. That's why a lot of us know that couple that's unhappy, really don't like each other, but when you ask them why they don't leave and find their peace, their answer usually is, it's not that easy. It's complicated or deeper than that. Plus, some feel like I'd rather stick to the person I know than to be out here starting all over, especially if y'all are married. A lot of people try to uphold their vows until death do us apart. And after time, it kind of feels like, well, we might as well make it work. Our best years are behind us, and at the least, I know who I'm dealing with. But sometimes it becomes too toxic. Rather fighting on each other every day, both parties are miserable, or someone is cheating. Relationships of all kinds sometimes just run their course, and one individual involved might build up the courage to leave. Some might feel like it's over and done with. I can be free and move on. But for that new person, this is where things can get tricky. When we meet somebody we are interested in, to us, they are a blank canvas. You only know the picture they paint, and we have to take that picture as face value. I know for most men, we don't ask about bad breakups, divorces, is it finalized, baggage, is he over you? Because in our minds, we try to keep it player. We feel like if she land over here with me now, it must be done. I'm not worried about another dude. But sometimes not asking a person what they really got going on could backfire in the worst way. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Dothan, Alabama to discuss the case of a man who lost it after catching his wife in bed with a man on work release. Back in 2021, 34-year-old Brent Guilford was a family man navigating life in Alabama. A father and a husband, it wasn't nothing more important to Brent than to provide a good life for his wife and kids. But let's rewind back a little bit. Brent would meet his wife, who we will call Stacy, way back in 2011. And since then, the two were glued by the hip. He showed his love for her in real life and on social media. And as years went on, they started growing older, jumped the brum, and started a family. He loved on his wife and kids. They had family outings and pictures, and it seemed the couple were destined to grow old together. But later that same year, it would be trouble in paradise. Some say Stacy grew tired of Brent and felt the marriage wasn't working out no more. She even was accusing her husband of putting hands on her, to the point she left and filed a protective order against him. As Stacy made her exit, Brent was sick without his family. He would often call her to see if they could work things out. But time would go by and she would eventually move on with a 41-year-old man named LaShawn Polk. LaShawn was a father of 9 who had his own place and lived in the same city as the couple. It's not clear when and how Stacy and him met, but LaShawn had found himself in a little bit of trouble. He himself was arrested, accused of putting hands on a woman, and had to serve a little bit of time. While in jail, he was also caught with contraband, adding a little time to his sentence. But he was short time, and by 2022, he had made it to work release and was on his way out the door. To all my law-abiding citizens who might not know about work release, it's a program for inmates to get them back accustomed to the free world, working, making their own money, and even having a job upon release. So hopefully they can return to society and be a productive member. By November 2022, Stacy and LaShawn had been together for 6 months. He even let her stay at his home while he was away. But little did he know that Stacy was still legally married, and her husband Brent was still in communication. Brent had been hearing through town his wife was seeing another man, even living with him, leaving the man caught up in his feelings. But on LaShawn's and Stacy's end, they had something to be excited about. He was set to be released in a few weeks in December. LaShawn will also be approved for a home pass to go home on furlough for the Thanksgiving holidays. And on November 24th, 2022, Thanksgiving Day, LaShawn would be sent home to spend time with his girlfriend, Stacy. As they ate and talked through the night, he didn't know the whole time her phone was blowing up, with Brent calling and texting, asking where she was at and was she with her boyfriend. But she ignored her husband and went on with the rest of the night. The couple got ready for bed and took it in. Around 3:30 in the morning, while in bed, they both were awakened by Brent standing over them, gun in hand. He looked at Stacy before opening fire on LaShawn, shooting the man over 9 times, before then fleeing the scene. Local police was called to the home on Sunrise Drive to find LaShawn suffering from multiple gunshot wounds all over his body, including his head. And unfortunately, just 2 weeks before being released, he would be found gone on the scene. It wouldn't take long. At 5 a.m., Brent turned himself in to local police. With a smile on his face, he was charged with capital hit. As LaShawn's family got the news, they were devastated. Most claimed Stacy never even told him that she was married in the first place, and he thought they were exclusive. The case was pointed to as a love triangle slam. As the case made its way to trial just last month, LaShawn's family spoke out, stating Brent still showed no remorse, smirking at them in the courtroom, and as prosecutors told them he shot their family member over 9 times, he just looked at them with a sarcastic look. They stated LaShawn was a father and wasn't about any drama and didn't like confrontation at all. And if he would have knew Stacy was still married, he would have definitely passed on a relationship. The case was pretty open and shut, and Brent never denied what he did. A jury will find the man guilty on all charges, including capital hit, and he is scheduled for sentencing later this month. Rest in peace to LaShawn. I send my prayers and condolences to his family, definitely his kids. To come home on a work release pass and lose your life is crazy. I hate to say it, but he would have been better off just spending a holiday in jail. On Brent's social media, he always confessed his love to his wife and always made captions like "to death do us apart." Some people really feel that way, and they mean that. It's no leaving them or moving on. But taking a man's life who didn't even know about you definitely didn't make the situation no better. Now you probably will never come home and your wife will still move on. It's a lose-lose. You crashed out for nothing. As far as Stacy goes, I get it. A fresh start, wanting to be free and move on. But she definitely should have let that man know what was going on, like I'm still married to my husband and he is crazy about me, making threats, and let LaShawn decide whether or not he wanted to deal with all that. Especially on Thanksgiving when he kept calling. She should have told bro. But I'm going to end this one with a few questions. Do you think a person coming out of a relationship and going into another one is entitled to tell their new partner everything, or do you feel like it's up to that person? And have you yourself ever been in a situation where something just didn't feel right? Maybe a person got too many calls late at night, or it just seemed like they had unfinished business. Let me know in the comments. And remember, we got to succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy story all around the board. But y'all leave it in the comments. I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.